record now. Dum 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 dum. Intro music not yet done. So Don's gonna do it. Boom, 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 boom. What was that noise? Right. So good evening, everyone. For those of you that cannot see but are listening to this podcast episode, this is episode number 3, and this is another guest I've got, my beautiful wife Rayanne Armand, and we're going to talk about all things that interest me, and I'm going to ask some questions to see what I can get out of her. And obviously we've got some of the community live listening, and I'll be popping questions back and forth and hopefully bringing some value to you. Obviously we talk about all things that interest: psychology, mindset, business, gaming can be part of it, health, fasting, women, men, humans. You talk, you mention it, we're probably going to talk about it, and that's what I love about it. We go anywhere and everywhere, depending on the guest, depending on what's floating my boat at the time. So, Ray, thank you very much for being my guest tonight. What are you expecting out of tonight?
I don't know. I was a bit nervous coming into it because I wasn't sure what you were going to ask.
Okay.
Or I had no idea what to even think or to prepare to answer, or what value I can bring, but I'm just going to roll with it.
You always bring value no matter what you do, even when you don't realize it. So the less prepared, the better, because then we get more natural answers. So, okay. So how the podcast is going to roll tonight is we're going to go back and forth with a couple of questions and then end off with a bit of advice from you to the viewers. So for the ladies in the audience, just so that you have a bit of background on Ray, I've done my research. And in fact, I've been doing research for what now? 11, 12 years? Non-stop. Like I've even...
I think you're coming up to 15.
Is it really?
Yeah.
15 years. Yeah, but I'm talking like I went really in depth on the research at about like maybe year 11, where I started to like be a fly on the wall and understand how she'd work when she thought no one was watching, i.e. when we moved in together. So yeah, I'm quite excited.
7 years.
Ray is a chartered accountant. I don't know if you can tell. So a bit of her history. She's got a master's in financial management, business management, chartered accountancy. Basically, the way that it looks to me is like she's a boffin in finance. And the way she's evolved that is she's managed to balance this incredibly driven, intense career qualification, which is a CASA, which is the Chartered Accountancy South Africa qualification, which ranks about 3rd in the world. And when you compare it to how other chartered accountants qualifications go, so like in the UK, they could get to practice and spread out their exams, where in SA, it's intense. It's like you do this test gets done. If you don't pass this, then nothing else works and you fail. So it's like the cream of the crop. Think of Royal Marines versus like the cream of the crop there. She's come out of that institution in my eyes. At the same time as we now have 4 children together. She's got a second arm of a business, runs the pool with us, runs all the business admin side of it, and does an incredible job at creating websites and on top of running her own practices, hiring people, expanding stuff, loads of learns. And I get to sit in the background and listen to how she goes about her day to day. So I've got lots of learns from her, but she's rocking it as a businesswoman. She's rocking it as a mother. She's rocking it as a wife. And I couldn't be more grateful to have someone like her on my journey. So, Ray, the first question I'm going to ask you, now that I've given a background, is who are you?
So I'm not sure if... So obviously my full name is Rayanne Armand, but obviously please, you're welcome to call me Ray if it's easier. You don't have to call me Mrs. Armand, Lan's sake.
No,
Ray is... Hey?
Ignore them. We're talking to the
yes,
listeners.
I know. So... who am I? It's a very big, loaded question, and you could go down any particular angle. But if I were to kind of do a broad overview without going deep into any area, I am a mom of 4. That's obviously a big defining role because, like, I've got 4 beautiful souls that Don and I are responsible for in this world, which is an exciting sort of opportunity. But I'm also not fully defined by my role as mom, because I am definitely a better mom overall by having sort of pursuing my own interests and being quite driven on the business front. So I've always wanted a bit of both. So Don, I'm kind of one of those people that says, why can't I have it all? So when someone says to me, I couldn't have an amazing career and have lots of kids and be like a very like focus on my kids type mom. I was like, well, no, I'm going to do both. And when I'm like, I want a nice house and go on nice holidays, Don's like, you can't have both. You have to choose one. I'm like, no, I want both. I'm going to have it all. So that maybe that kind of, I don't know, encapsulates who I am the most. So in terms of maybe just explaining a bit differently what business involvement I do have, to how Don explained it. So I have my main accounting practice. I call it my main one, but it will might shift over time. But I have Route to Growth Accounting and Advisory. That's been going for about 7 years. And that came about from where I was, because my career started with PricewaterhouseCoopers in Cape Town. And then I was with Deloitte in London. Realized I didn't want to climb a corporate ladder because it wasn't going to allow me to have it all like I kind of want. And so then when I fell pregnant with our first, after maternity leave, I didn't go back to Deloitte. I did a bit of lecturing for a while between kids, but then started my own business shortly after from then. And it has been consistently growing alongside having more kids. So that's been a big achievement for me, to consistently been growing the business and the team while also having more kids. And then kind of things have escalated since then, because we've got more and more business involvement since then. So obviously helped on with gas. We've started up the swimming pool hire business. We helped on in acquiring Rayanne Armand, and we've also just got involved in another business called HRS. So between Don and I, we each are juggling about 3 or 4 businesses each separately, because I've got my 2 accounting practices, the pool and HRS. And then you have yours. So very busy. I would say I'm very much defined by being a businesswoman, but also very much defined by being a mom.
And what is the biggest challenges? And you could be as honest as you want here. What are the biggest challenges? I mean, that's quite a lot to list, right? There's quite a lot going on there. What are the biggest challenges you face? Like if someone's listening to this and going, I want to do that. What do you think you could help them with by prepping themselves with the most? What have you found through all of the experience, the failures, the learns, that you would say, just make sure you've got X in place? What would X be?
I think the thing I always say to people is, I think as a mom, there's a lot of narratives out there. Because mom always has to be there. Like the businesses can come and go, but your kids will always be there. So mom, I think, is a starting point. So as a mom, if you're a full-time stay-at-home mom, you feel like you're failing your kids because you should be out there working, contributing to the economy, like doing more. When you're a full-time working mom, you feel like you're failing your kids because you're not around them. So I think the important thing is to understand that no matter what you do, there's going to be an element of, I'm failing in some way. So you don't be so hard on yourself. Would be the first thing, is don't be so hard on yourself. But then also, instead of just living in the day-to-day and kind of trying to be the best you can, actually you need to take a step back out of your circumstances and do a bit of strategy and planning, which sounds very businessy, but I very much encourage it on a personal basis. And to keep that, all sounds technical, but to keep it super simple, it would all be summed up in one thing, which is time blocking. So basically, the most powerful thing I've had in my life in juggling it all is I'm sitting down and saying, what is my perfect week? What is my ideal week? How many hours am I doing this? How many hours am I doing that? Like writing a list of things that I need to have done in the week to be satisfied. Obviously, if you calculate your week and making sure you've got 8 hours of sleep and your remaining waking hours, if your remaining waking hours is not enough to finish all those things on your list, then you can clearly see that something needs to be cut up. But once you've got a clearly defined list of the exercise you want to do, the number of hours you want to spend one-on-one with your kids, then time block it in. And I have this, I could talk on this topic for ages, but time block it in, because then when it's blocked and you're living to that, as you go through each week and you've made sure you've only worked X amount of hours and spent X amount of time with your kids, you know that you are giving the time, like it's sort of architrating, or like we're creating your life in the way it wants it to be. Architecting, yeah. It's like, don't let life happen to you, plan it. And this is coming from someone who in my teen years and early 20s, I hated schedules. Absolutely hated. I said every day needs to be different. I cannot have plans or schedules. It was like absolute just awful. Like I couldn't, like I cringed at it. I was like, don't give me schedules. I need consistent change. But what I've realized is in time blocking and creating routines and structures and actually systems and processes in your personal life around this, you free yourself so much more, because all those responsibilities you have fit in, and you can kind of have them ticked off and covered by the processes or systems, and you are then free to do so much more with your time. That would be my biggest advice. So it all starts with time blocking.
And underpinning that, I suppose, from my point of view, because you time block, I try to time block. And it's like,
it's hard.
I'm in a process.
It's a skill.
No, but it's a skill. But what defines it is the discipline, isn't it? Like and without realizing, you probably have either built that up or you had it naturally. And so obviously, if you take away and you go, I'm going to go time block, you can schedule out this perfect week. And in your first day, you have half an hour for X, you have half an hour for Y, but you miss the time on that first one. Then you go, time blocking doesn't work. I remember it's going to take a while.
Always building buffers.
Yeah, it's going to take a while to actually get used to that. So be kind to yourself. And I think that's like, I've definitely noticed the integrity behind what you're saying is important, because you actually do stick to your time blocking, and they do, like, the times you get frustrated is when you've time blocked and then something comes in and whips it. So like when you're performing at a level that, say, Ray is with her businesses and everything, if one of the kids is sick and you imagine she's time blocked 6 hours worth of work, then that's all gone. That 6 hours of work is done. She knows that she's got 6 hours of work she needs to do to catch up.
And it has to fit in some way.
It has to fit in some way. But I mean, the joy of that.
Don't want them to be like, why are you so frustrated? You only have like one item you haven't done. I'm like, because I can see into my future and there's nowhere for the 6 hours to slot in the future. And the other big thing I could add, I suppose, is just protect your head space fiercely. And that comes, like, I can give another good example in our household, is like, it kind of ties back to where I say creating like processes or systems, which is just my like technical way of talking about it.
Don't worry, we know about high performance structures on, so it's fine.
Is like, I have this thing, I've set up Google, like a Google shopping list, so people can talk, like Alexa, you can talk to Google and add items to the shopping list. And I've forbidden anyone in the house from saying to me, Ray, we need more rice or we need more coffee. I'm like, do not tell me, because you are using up my headspace for the day, for the morning and the chaos. Don't tell me we need more coffee. I've told you to add it to Google, and then I will shop. Then we'll add it to the shopping list when we get there. So like,
if anyone wants to know the backing behind that and why I fully believe in that, is read a book called Second Brain, and then follow it, or precursor that with the book called Peak Mind. Both of those will tell you why that is so important, because you only have a limited amount of space on your whiteboard in your mind. And if you have to remember the coffee, and you have to remember something else, and you have to remember something else, something's gonna be forgotten.
It's the mental load.
So we're going to ask you now, what is the biggest failure that we can all learn from?
What, from my life?
Yeah, it could be anything.
Falling off the treadmill? I don't know.
When did you fall off a treadmill? Is that a metaphor?
No, I did.
Oh, but how's that a failure that we can learn from?
No, I'm trying to think of it.
That's the most embarrassing moment. I like that. Did you do press-ups as you fell down?
No, I wiped out fully off the back. I was going, my foot like up to the side, and I went boom off the back. The biggest failure that people can learn from.
Or that you learn from.
No, I think that I'm thinking of how to describe it. I can think of it already. Like, I'm trying to think of how to describe the failure. So, I wouldn't call it a failure in the sense that if I went back to the start, I would probably do the exact same thing again. And yeah, it was all around. It was when I was growing my business and recruiting initially and recruiting people. It was just a lesson, I suppose, was firing. You know, they always say, you should hire slow, fire fast. Have you heard of that phrase? So it's just not living that. So I was aware of it. And I've got so much better at hiring now. And so maybe I would have hired slightly differently, so I didn't hire. It wasn't that, like, when I hired those people that I started out with, and I'm still, like, I never burned bridges, so I'm still, like, in touch with them and stuff, and, like, on good terms, and we meet for coffees and that. But they weren't the right fit, and I should have realized that sooner. I, as a typical business owner does initially, tried to fix it upon myself, and I just worked myself to the bone. I was so stressed. I remember the one time at the dinner table when I cried, like, dispersing into tears in front of all the kids, and they were all very stressed about me. Don was stressed about me, and I'm like, I'm just going to give this all up. I'm just too stressed. And Don said, just don't do it. He's like, because if you go back to a job, like, look at these amazing clients you have. Let's just scale everything right back and just rebuild from the beginning again. And so I suppose it's the lesson I would say is being brave enough. Don would talk about it, but like, being a business owner isn't a linear journey. It's being brave enough to sometimes take a big step backwards and being like, I messed up. And I'm just going to, and it's also a little bit of like calming your nervous system down, because you get so stressed and you got yourself so worked up to this point of just everything is a mad rush. It's just like, let's go back to basics. Let's not be embarrassed or afraid to scale things right back and review and kind of build again. And I'm so glad I did that, because I took a business that was just apps causing me huge anxiety and so much stress. And I built literally a business of my dreams, to the point that I look back at goals and visions that I wrote down, of things I never imagined I would have. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm living that now. But now I'm like, gosh, those goals were too small. So,
Yes.
So what's the next level?
Yes. So that's where we're at the moment,
Yeah.
is trying to find out, well, is you've got your big next goals. It's now backing yourself to realize that you can achieve those and getting the confidence to do them.
Yeah.
So who's your role model?
This is the one where I was like, you'll know the answer, because I think it's the truth of it, because my role models change over time. Like, I'm very passionate about like getting obsessed with a topic when I'm going through it. So when I was pregnant and giving birth and getting ready to give birth to kids, I got like so obsessed with podcasts. And so I had role models at that time for that specific thing I wanted to achieve. So I very much deep dive into areas of my life I want to improve. So like, I'm quite obsessed with like Dr. Mindy Pelz and everything that she's developed around fasting for women. And so I have specific
That's fascinating too, by the way.
Hey?
That's a fascinating
I know, it's
topic
absolutely
too.
fascinating. The book is Fast Like a Girl by Dr. Mindy Pelz. Of any woman in any stage of life, I highly, highly recommend reading it. But like, so I think I have like role models of people I'm obsessed with in very specific areas of my life. But overall, my role model would be me 5 years from now, which is what Don.
Yes.
And that's not, it sounds so big-headed
No,
up to a
it's
degree.
not.
But
It's-
I think anytime, the reason why I would say that's my role model is because of like, and this all sounds so woo-woo, because it's not me at all.
Hey, be comfortable with it.
No, I know. I'm just like, it's not me at all from a few years ago, but it's like when you're visioning or manifesting or trying to picture where your next stage you want to go to. And the reason why I believe in this so much is because I just said, look back at the goals I wrote 4 years ago and I'm living those now. So what's the next goals that I set? And kind of, I have a vision for, like Don calls it, my bikini body vision, or like how I want to feel in a bikini, or how I want to be as a mom, or how I want to be just as a person, inspiring other people, or as a business owner. I have this vision in my mind of me 5 years from now, and any decision that I make, or if I'm angry with the kids, I always just like close my eyes and think, what would me 5 years from now do? And I'm always working towards that better version of myself, and I suppose that's who inspires me the most.
Lovely answer. I'm a big fan of it. The origin of that was Matthew McConaughey, and he was giving a Grammy Award or something speech, and he said, it's me in 5 years' time. And then he said, you're never going to reach that role model. And I think that's really important. So the way I explain that, if I'm talking to people, is I go, hey, thank you very much for the follow, Waffle Boy. Shouldn't acknowledge it because we're Spotify, we're streaming it. I mean, we're on the podcast. Mistakes. Anyway, I will acknowledge you afterwards. So it's for you in 5 years' time, right? It's got to be perfect. If you know that you in 5 years' time is perfect.
Perfect in the idea of what perfection is now.
Yes, yeah, we'll get there.
Changes.
But where you are now is not there. Then you can forgive yourself and you be kind to yourself in the present, because you know that you're not there yet, but you're trying. Now, in 2 years' time, you would have changed your perspective on what perfect is. So what Ray was saying. So that original idea of what perfect was in 5 years is now shifted further away. And that's okay. So yes, aim for perfect, but perfect, you'll never reach there. But you'll always recognize that where you are is not perfect. And that immediately allows a sigh of relief. That's like, I'm not there yet. And as long as you remember that, you can keep moving. So I think we've got a lot of advice and stuff from you. So I won't ask that last. Yeah, sorry.
I also add one more point to that. I still feel like that version of me 5 years from now is a combination of all those micro role models I spoke about. Like, I'm very much inspired by those people I've become obsessed with in different areas of my life that I want to improve. There's just not one person that kind of embodies all the kind of areas of me, and that's where that version of 5 years from now me kind of covers off all those elements.
I suppose it ties into that, like, you don't know what you don't know, right? So as you find these people that are your micro role models, you see something and you're like, oh, I like that. And you're going to embody that. And then you'll raise up and you'll understand it. And then you'll see someone else that embodies something else. And you start to tie that in. And then all of a sudden, those original things that became your role models, as in a role model is something that you want to be like, till eventually you are that.
Yeah.
And then you are your own role model. But then there's always going to be someone that's showing you the thing that you didn't know that you didn't know.
Yeah.
And that's, you want to expose yourself. Social psychology, humans being troop animals, all that kind of stuff comes into it. So there are some questions from our community, which we'll read out. So the first question that we've got here is, Mrs. Armand, how was it having a professional rugby player as a husband?
Different at different stages. So Don and I have been together since school. We then went to university together. And then in my kind of last year at university, when I was in my postgrad, or masters, around that stage is when he started professional rugby. So that professional rugby, when you're kid-free and you've just come out of university, is a very completely different experience. And this, how I wanted to answer the question was to say, it totally depends on your perspective. And I think a good example would be like if it's raining outside and you had a party planned versus if it's raining outside and your garden really needed a water. In one situation you're sad, in one situation you're happy. So I could answer that question from so many different angles. And even if I take myself to being a mother of kids, like a few kids and or pregnant and being a mother simultaneously, and then he has professional rugby, that experience is totally different. But even in the space of being a mother, depending on where my mindset was at, it was different. Yes, it was challenging. It's very interesting when you're a wife or partner of a rugby player, in terms of, obviously, because of the nature of the career, it had to come first. So when I was growing a business at that stage, it had to come first. Rugby offers a lot of freedom in terms of the guys get nice like days off in the middle of the week and they get big chunks of time off, but not as much as an employed person, I don't think. I think they do end up with less. They probably work more hours than a typical employed person.
We did.
And it gave us the huge, and I mean, rugby, if you asked me when we were living in Cape Town, I wanted to get an opportunity to move overseas, and rugby gave us that. So rugby was a huge opportunity to open up. It opened up opportunities that wouldn't have been available to us. It brought us over to the UK, which is what we wanted to experience, and it gave us a great route for doing that. It allowed us to earn a lot of extra income that most people wouldn't have generated in their 20s, to then invest in property and things like that, which has helped us kind of kickstart our lives. Although it would be interesting if we'd started businesses soon. I don't know. Who knows? But but it was, I suppose, to maybe answer the question in the way you asked, once you have kids and you're like 30 weeks pregnant or 32 weeks pregnant and your husband gets a call that he's going on tour to Argentina or South Africa, and you're now left where he's going to be away in like when you're already
possibly giving birth,
possibly fully cooked, because the baby, he's only going to get back when you're 39 weeks pregnant. Things like that are really stressful. And yeah, I suppose, yeah. So that there are stressful moments. There's also great opportunity, and really your opinion of the rugby, it is totally going to depend on your perspective of it.
Yeah, and I think from my point of view, I'd say sacrifice is a huge thing to consider.
There was a lot of sacrifice.
You had to put in a lot of sacrifices for, like you said, starting your own business. You had kids. We had kids.
Rugby always had to come first.
Rugby always had to come first. And
you don't get holidays.
You think about traveling up to the finals. Like, you traveled up on your own with the kids or with a family member. It was never with me. So if you decided to come up, you were making the decision to do something that's a 3-hour bus trip or car trip on your own and back, because I'm traveling with the team. And there's lots of instances like that.
For the partners, it's much lonelier than someone who's like if your husband's employed, because you're alone with the kids a lot.
Yeah.
And sometimes
But then you get, I suppose, the flip side of it is you get a lot more opportunities for the kids to be exposed to, like they are normally quite good at like family dues and things, whereas employment doesn't necessarily always get that right. But it's different strokes, different folks, different environments. So another person has asked her, so Jacob has said, Mrs. Armand, what's it like living with such a positive, happy husband constantly?
Interestingly, you might know I mean, like we've been together roughly 15 years, and I would say in different phases in our relationship, one of us, even for like a long period of time, like a year or two, one of us will be more positive than the other. It's kind of flipped.
It's competition.
And there's definitely been periods of time where I'm like, and it was actually more in rugby, like where Don doesn't say much about it, and I won't go much into it, but there was a lot of tough mental aspects to rugby, especially when the media and like England rugby starts getting involved and all the dynamics around that, and like just difficulties then within team dynamics and things like that. I won't go into specifics. That's for Don to talk about if he ever wanted to. But there was definitely a period when rugby was so intense. It wasn't in his last couple of years. It was like in the 2 years before that, and with injuries and all of that, where Don went through a long time of just being so negative. And there was so many times where I'm like, can you just be more positive? Yeah. And I maybe failed at not getting through to him, but he is amazing, Mr. Positive. But I think it comes in swings and roundabouts. At the moment, I would say in the last year and going forward now, we're hoping that we both are just super positive. So we both actually probably lift each other up at different times.
Yeah, I think that's important. So Jacob has asked that question, and he's currently going through quite a tough time. So it's like, why it's important what you said is you're not just born super positive. Some people have it more naturally. They are, like we do profiling in my business. And generally there is one trait that I look at, I'm like, that as a top trait is they just drift through, like positive just comes naturally to them. It's their gift. That's like literally is their gift. But it is important. Like if you're listening to this now, like you're not, just because you are where you are now, don't judge your future by your present. Like you will get a chance where if you put enough work into it, you can be positive and happy more consistently.
Don 3 or 4 years ago wasn't Mr. Positive.
But then before that I was. So It's like, it does, like Ray said, it comes in swings and roundabouts. Mrs. Armand, does your husband force you to have ice bars, or do you actually enjoy them?
So what month did you start? What month of the year? Did you start in like a January?
No, I started, you got me for my birthday in September. October, I started them because I've actually done a 5-year video. And then
but you've been doing cold showers for like 6 months before I got you the ice bar.
Yeah, I've been doing cold showers.
So Don had been doing cold showers since early 22. So September 22, I got him an ice bath, and he started doing it daily from October 22 about. And watching him, it had been about 6 months, watching him do these ice bars for ages, it does chip away at you. I mean, he chips away at you.
Hey.
So I remember December 22, I did the odd cold shower, and I don't even remember, but I said to be committed. I said it was some point in January, I was like,
you said, I'm crazy.
I started when he started like early 22. I was like, you're crazy. This is stupid. Like,
never gonna do
I honestly thought it was the stupidest thing.
Never judge your future by your present.
I used to say he was crazy. Never judge your future by your present situation. Honestly, or even your past. Like, don't think that your past dictates your future at all. Because I was like, it's crazy, not doing that, bonkers. And it's just funny how. And this, I suppose, just shows you that the people you surround yourself with are going to have the biggest impact on your life. And there's a lot of talk about this. So I'm sure most of you are aware that what a huge influence, like the 5 people you spend the most time with have on your life. But so he slowly chipped away at me by just doing, and then so I don't know. I actually don't know what ticked it over in my mind. It was maybe, I always like an explanation behind things. So for me, the health benefits were, and they are still, I'm not worried about the health benefits. That's not the reason I'm doing it. Like, it's a nice value add. For me, it was this idea that Don always talks about controlling the chimp. So to answer your question directly, no, Don does not make me do them. In January this year, 2023, so about 8 or 9 months after Don had started, I started cold showers, and I have had one every single day, and we are now November 2023. So, and for me, it just shows me every single morning that I can do hard things. So when I face in my day any challenges, my subconscious, I'm like, I can do hard things, and it just kind of sets me up for any hard mental struggles.
Nice, good answer. So we have one more question, but I've just seen a thing that we can only record for half an hour on
got
the web
30
browser.
seconds.
So we've got 30 seconds. So I'm going to end it there, Jam, and I will answer this off record. But thank you very much for listening. If you've made it all the way to 29 minutes and 40 seconds, then I'm going to thank Ray. I'm going to thank you for your time. We're very grateful for giving us your half an hour of your life to listen to this. And hopefully you've taken some good nuggets away. Ray, you've got 5 seconds or 10 seconds. Quickly go.
On what? Oh, thank you. I'm great. Thanks for listening, guys. Cheers.
We appreciate you. Bye.